Hello and welcome to another video from me, Rough Swordsman Wargamer. It's another open the box video, and as you can probably tell from the title, we're going back to 1993 and Africa. The North African Campaign 1940 to 1942 from the Gamers. Number 2 in the Standard Combat series, and designed by Dean Essig. I was very lucky to pick this copy up for what I thought was a very good price because it's an unpunched copy. So let's have a look. In late 1940, the Italian army invaded Egypt, beginning the famous North African campaign of World War II. After a short withdrawal, the Commonwealth forces counterattacked and all but threw the Italians back to Tripoli. Not content to let his southern partner bring disgrace to the Axis arms, Hitler dispatched a German contingent under a new commander, Erwin Rommel. His arrival began a series of rapid mobile campaigns across the rocky sands. However, by the end of 1942, Rommel had failed in his final bid to seize the Nile Delta and was thrown completely out of the theatre by Montgomery's pursuit after El Alamein. Axis fortunes would never rise on the African continent again. Africa is a fast-paced game of mobile warfare at the operational level. Can you take the Nile? Can your Commonwealth forces kick the Axis army out of Egypt for good? This game gives you the tools to find out. The game's easy-to-use supply system, no writing, allows for a correct logical aspect to the game. This is the second game in the series begun by Stalingrad Pocket. The series rules have been refined after the lessons learned with the earlier game. This series of games was designed to offset the Gamers' line of more complex products. Experienced players will feel comfortable with the rules as soon as they read them. Reports of learning the game in 10 minutes are common. The SCS was designed to be simple, not simplistic. There we go. So, the complexity is low, solitaire suitability is high. Playing time 2 to 12 hours, players 2 or more best. Unit scale, regiments and brigades with some battalions and divisions. Turn length 1 month, hex scale 10 miles. And in the game we've got the revised 1.5 series rules. I think they've moved on a bit since then. There's a Rommel counter with special effects. And in the box we've got 1.5 full colour 22 by 34 inch maps, 280 die cut counters, the series rules, the game rules, 2 campaign scenarios, 5 short, 3 turn, 1 map scenarios, and 2 dice. Well, no, there's no dice. The dice have long gone. So let's have a look. First thing we've got are the rules. We've got the module rules and the series rules. So let's have a look at those. I believe they're up to 1.8 now. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think you can use version 1.8 with this game. I think the problems arise with the Africa 2 module rules. These are very short, including the back page, which is an advert. 8 pages. I like this back page. You could phone them up and they'd answer your rules questions on the telephone. Here we are, introduction, how to learn the game, game components, all pretty sort of standard stuff. Units and market information, sequence of play, basically movement, combat, exploitation and a supply check. Zones of control, movement in zones of control, stacking, reinforcements, overrun combat, combat, step losses, retreats, advance after combat, exploitation, supply. Examples of combat. And then the designer notes and play terms and abbreviations. So, 5 and a bit pages of rules. Here are the sort of module rules for Africa itself. And these go on for about 12 pages. But I think a lot of that is the scenarios. So again, specific rules for this game, stacking, counters, map notes, supply. And what I like about this, which is different to the Africa 2 reboot, is that some of the rules they say do not use in the short scenarios. So you can learn just a small amount of core rules and play the short scenarios. And what I'm thinking of doing is, when I get that under my belt, is then sort of bring in some of these rules. So truck points you don't use, dumps and dump capture, supply arrival. Whereas in the Africa 2 specific rules, you use all the rules, regardless of whether you're doing the campaign or a short version of it. Air support points, replacement steps, again not used in the short scenario, artillery and barrage attack. So it really sort of, if you're new to this sort of game, these condensed rules are great help. Fortification boxes, off-map boxes, divisional integrity, the Axis special rules, the Italian surrender rules. I think they got rid of them in the Africa 2 rules. Rommel. Again, a lot of these aren't used in the short scenarios, but it doesn't mean to say you can't, I suppose, once you get those under your belt. Axis reinforcement, Kampfgruppe Hecker exchange, parachute battalion, Allied special rules. I believe in the Africa 2 you have O'Connor as a counter. Withdrawals. The long range desert group. And the LRDG raid on Rommel. Once per game you can try and capture him. And here we are, short scenarios. It uses simplified supply rules. Here's scenario 1. There are only 3 turns. And these short scenarios using only 1 map. It's quite handy for me because I haven't got a big enough table to stick the 2 together. Operation Crusader. Gazala. First Battle of El Alamein. Alam Halfa. Third battle. And then we've got the major scenarios which last 28 turns and use both maps. And some designer notes and player notes. Axis order of arrival, and on the back page, Allied order of arrival. There we are. And another thing about the free telephone support package. Where's that gone? Next is the counters. As I say, I was lucky enough to get this unpunched. So there we are. They're quite thin. 1/2 inch, so a bit small. But hey ho. There's Rommel. And as you can see, not a lot of information on the counters. Nice and simple. Some admin markers there. These are for step losses, I believe. Yeah. Some units have 3 step losses, out of supply and all that sort of thing. There we go. And last but not least are the 2 maps, which we'll have a look at in a moment, along with, just in the bottom here, Customer registration, look at that. Check here to receive free information concerning Operations Magazine. Or subscribe today, only $12. The Gamers, look. There we go. Right. Let's have a look at the maps. Here's map A, the 22 by 34 inch map with Libya and Egypt. Lots of desert as to be expected. Let's have some close-ups. Here we go, over in the top left we've got the terrain key. The Axis dead units go here, Axis air points and Axis truck points, mortar suppression air points. And carrying on further down, we've got the Axis coastal shipping, Axis variable reinforcements. Right down the bottom here, we've got the supply capture table. And up the top again, we have the turn tracks. We've got the turn track for the campaigns and a separate little turn track for the short 3-turn scenarios. Moving along, we have the combat result table, terrain effect on movement, combat and barrage chart, and the barrage table. And down here, the Allied air points and truck points. There's Tobruk and Bardia, and up the top there and over here, Benghazi. I think it's quite a pleasant map. Does what it says on the tin. So let's have a look at the smaller one. Here's the smaller map with the Qattara Depression, Cairo on the right. Up the top here we've got a sequence of play and the Allied supply arrival chart, Allied variable reinforcements, the Allied dead and withdrawn units. And this map, not only can you do the shorter scenarios, but if we want to do the campaign, it sort of fits together with the other map a bit like that. But as I say, a bit too big for my table, so I'll have to stick with the smaller scenarios. So, them's the maps. So there we go. This has been an Open the Box of Africa from the Gamers. From 1993, a standard combat series game designed by Dean Essig. Hope you found that useful and you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel, pushing the like button of the video and the bell. That'll tell you when I upload other stuff. Leave a comment because, as I say, I'm not sure of the compatibility between the two Africas. I think I can use the version 1.8 rules, but the module rules might be a bit more awkward because I believe the counters have different values printed on them. But I think there's plenty to be getting on with here. And share the video because all the above does help the little channel no end at all. And as always, a big thank you to my subscribers. Thank you very much indeed. And if you quite like what I do and want to show your appreciation, well, you can by buying me a coffee. Doesn't cost much. And believe me, it really does help the channel to keep uploading content. If you fancy doing that, there's a link in the description. And thank you. So, till next time, you take care, be safe, and goodbye.